our critical infrastructure. Data centers will be protected.
Government bills. This Council resumes the second reading debate on the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. The Honourable Martin Liu, Chairman of the Bills Committee on the bill, will first address the Council on the committee's report. The Honourable Martin Liu. President, as Chairman of the Bills Committee on District Council's Amendment Bill 2023, I present the report of deliberations by the Bills Committee to the Council. The bill seeks to put in place proposals to reform DCs as announced by the administration on May 2nd to improve governance at the district level. The proposals include, firstly, to enhance the advisory and service functions of district councils. Secondly, to designate district officers as DC chairmen and empower them to lead the work of district councils. Thirdly, to optimize the composition of district councils, setting the corresponding methods of filling those seats and to introduce an eligibility review mechanism, and lastly, to introduce a performance monitoring mechanism for DC members. Given that the current term of DCs will expire at the end of this year, time is tight for studying the proposals and scrutinizing the bill. Hence, the House Committee agreed at its meeting on May 5th to set up a subcommittee to study the proposals and the relevant policy issues. As soon as the bill has received its first reading on May 1st, the subcommittee will become this Bills Committee to carry on with the scrutiny of the bill. From May 12th to June 13th, the subcommittee and the Bills Committee have held a total of 11 meetings. The Bills Committee has had an in-depth and thorough discussion of the bill and has expressed concerns over a number of issues covering functions of district councils after the reform, provisions relating to disqualification of DC members, the practical arrangements for nomination of candidates, and details of the performance monitoring mechanism. During deliberation, the administration has taken on board quite a number of comments received by members and the legal advisor of the Bills Committee and subsequently proposed amendments to the bill. For instance, whether the District Council Ordinance CAP 547 contains sufficient empowering provisions for the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to issue guidelines for the operation of the Supervisory Committee. The administration has proposed to amend Section 72B1 of CAP 547 to empower the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to issue guidelines on misconduct and sanctions. The guidelines, among others, will set out the operational details and procedures governing investigation by the Supervisory Committee, sanctions to be imposed by the Secretary, and appeals against sanctions. In light of comments from members and the legal advisor on the drafting of the bill, the administration has also proposed textual amendments to improve the bill. Details of the proposed amendments have been set out in the report of the Bills Committee to the Council. The bill has completed its work. Members and legal advisor have raised concerns over the policy aspects and provisions of the bill, and the administration has addressed all of them in meetings or in writing. The Bills Committee supports all proposed amendments from the administration and will not move any of its own. President, now I come to my own views on the bill. President, since the reunification of the Mainland, under the staunch support of the central authorities and the efforts of different sectors of the community, One Country, Two Systems has received well-acclaimed success. The state presidency was in Hong Kong on July 1st last year. He said that there should be 4 months and 4 expectations for one country, 2 systems. Now, for the 4 must, we must have patriots administering Hong Kong, and among the 4 expectations, we must enhance our governance and to improve people's livelihood. The BC Amendment Bill 2023 will improve governance at the district level after the improved electoral system to LC election, the C election, and this is the last step to go before we can really improve overall our district governance. DCs will revert to its original function set out in the basic law for one country, 2 systems. This will ensure that one country, 2 systems will not lose shape, and then we will always move on the right track. Now, for our district governance, it hasn't been really successful. I think it is due to a number of reasons. Before the establishment of district councils, we had the municipal councils to be responsible for district affairs. All members of municipal councils were appointed by the governor then. In 1979, when the then British government changed its stance when it comes to district administration, and district council was set up in 1989, and then district councils have become arenas of political wrangling. And then after the reunification, the operation of district councils have been highly politicized. We look at the election manifesto of DC candidates last time. They were no longer interested about livelihood. They had political issues. They advocated the independence of Hong Kong. They smeared the SL government and was in the way of governance. Among the 479 DC members returned, 1/3 of them, over 300 of them, did not take the oath or resigned, and some were disqualified for making invalid oaths. Only 146 seats are now still filled by serving members. This has greatly affected the normal operation of DCs. Now, for the bill, it has got the eligibility review committee so that those anti-China, anti-Hong Kong members or candidates will be barred from joining DC elections, so that we can really have patriots administering Hong Kong at district levels to safeguard national security. Every issue involving the community is important. People who are committed to serve in district councils for the well-being of the community is one of the major reasons why we have to reform the DCs. The bill has improved the composition and the way members are returned to DCs. There will be appointed members, there will be district committee, constituency, and also DC geographical constituencies. The ratio will be 4:4 to 2, the last being ex officio members. This 4:4-2 model can enhance district governance. With appointed members, we can attract people with professional knowledge and expertise to serve in DCs, and we can have a wider and broader representation of the views of the public to ensure good district governance. I hope community members can be appointed to DCs based on the needs of the districts to ensure that more can be nominated to join the race. Now, in each area committees, only 2 to 3 subscribers can come or can nominate one member. I hope that we can have facilitation measures. For instance, the list, address, and email addresses of area committee members should be published, so that people who aspire to become district DC members can lobby for support, and then we can return the most meritorious candidates to serve in DCs, whether we are talking about appointed or indirect or directly returned members. DCs serve as a bridge between the government and the community. They should live up to public expectations. Now we have this performance monitoring mechanism in the bill. The Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs will be empowered to set standards, and there will also be a supervisory committee to investigate possible misconduct and complaints. And if DC members concerned feel aggrieved about the sanctions imposed by the Secretary, they will have 14 days to lodge an appeal to the CS4A. I'm sure the relevant mechanism has already achieved a proper balance. To enhance district governance, the administration should be an executive-led government, so we can improve district governance, and then district officers will be designated to act as chairman of DCs, and so they can direct the work of district councils. Under the new system, district officers will play a bigger role in district governance. He or they can make standing orders for operation of DCs. They can assign district councils to get the views from the public on specific government measures, and they will also coordinate the work of care teams. Whether we can have improved district governance will, to a large extent, depend on the competence of future DOs. Therefore, the administration should select the most competent persons to fill these posts and give them training. We should have KPIs for district officers so that they can ensure the continuity of district governance in case of a handover of duties. Now, district councils are non-political. They are not organizations with political power, and they are not related to democracy as well. Under Article 98 of the Basic Law, the powers and functions of the district organizations and the method for their formation shall be prescribed by law. And the formation of DCs is entirely different from that for the LegCo and CE. The only requirement under the Basic Law for formation of district organization is they shall be prescribed by law. There is no requirement that they must be directly and democratically returned. And if we have only got direct elections, that is too simple and may not be the best interest of the community. Upon passage of the bill, I hope that there can be more balanced and full process democracy, so that starting from our districts, we can open a new chapter of good governance. With these remarks, I support the motion. Thank you.
Mr. Kissenyang. Madam Deputy, I speak on behalf of A4 Alliance in support of the amendment bill. The people, the LegCo members, were against the government, and they refused to interact with the administration. They acted in a wild manner to block all the administration. And during the scrutiny of the proposal to celebrate the national events, they block all the funding proposals, and they advocated independence of Hong Kong. They tried to subvert the state power, and all these offenses were really hard to describe. And the LegCo, the DCs have already lost its function, and if we do not revamp the DCs, we would be a peddling. And we have to implement one country, two systems, and the DC elections will be implementing the patriots administering Hong Kong, and those who oppose Hong Kong government and China will be rooted out. Only those who are patriotic and in support of the basic law will be allowed to be in. And we will be restoring the original intent of serving the members of the public. One of the purposes of the reform is to depoliticize the district councils, and we will be strengthening the consultative function of the DCs. And we're going to have larger constituencies, and there will be indirect election seats and appointment, and we can incorporate more experienced people like principals, doctors, engineers, and lawyers. And this would make the range of expertise that much more diverse. We are going to be improving the governance of the district councils. I have been the Kowloon City District Councillor, and the district councillors became more populist, and they were focusing on the silo of their own individual interest of the constituencies. I think we have to approach the issues from a macro point of view. In Kai Tak, the elected members ignored the interests of many of the issues, and we try to improve the Prince Edward Road West, and when the government rejected certain proposals, the appointed members can certainly contribute their input and look at the issues from a macro point of view to avoid populism. Indirect elected members and the appointed members will enrich the expertise of the district councillors, and by virtue of their own expertise, they will contribute a lot to the councils. Other than changing the composition, we're going to be strengthening the DG structure. The DO will be the chairman of the district council. Previously, the chairman was elected from among the members, and the main function of the chairman is to preside over the meeting. It would be hard to get on with anything if there is no cooperation with the government. If the DO is to be the chair of the councils, he will be able to address the issues, and we can tackle the issues at the district level. I took part in the district council work in order to serve the members of the public. And previously, the members of the public failed to have any sense of fulfillment. And A4 Alliance is in support of the performance monitoring mechanism for those district councillors who fall short of expectation. They should be investigated. And there is a list of negative behavior, like if they do not fulfill the work specified by the DO, and if they fall short of the requirements. I mean, if they do not do anything while getting paid for their office, it would not be good enough. The government should update the list of negative behavior on a regular basis, and there should be an arrangement to disqualify the members who are really below par. And if we can manage the minor issues well, it will be conducive to dealing with the major issues. Our alliance hopes that the DCs can focus their attention on the livelihood issues. And the government can come up with a list of livelihood issues for us to tackle, and we can have the best synergy with the caring team and all the rest of the district committees and provide a wide variety of services to the public. And we can tackle all these perennial issues so that people will have a sense of fulfillment, a sense of well-being. Thank you. Ms. Yan Chen, Madam Deputy, I rise to speak in support of the District Council Amendment Bill 2023. The DCs have been there for many years. They're supposed to be improving the livelihood of the public. Since the reunification, the SL government has been increasing the power of the councils, and a lot more resources have been devoted to the council to let them do their work. But given the political atmosphere, the district councils turned into a platform for political theatrics. In 2019, during the change of term, and given the irrational political atmosphere, the DC elections became the battlefield for showcasing their political stance. There is no need for experience, and they purport to be the parachute members, and they are nailing their color to the mast to be against the government. For those who have been working in the district for so long, and they were left behind, and the development in the community has ground to a complete halt. Some may say that what's wrong with that? People chose them. Now the flaws of the system led to all these undesirable consequences. The members who got elected because of the political stance were not really minding their core business, and they saw the council as the platform for political struggle, and they insulted government officials, and they threw a spanner in the work of a lot of the district projects, and the district councils really came to a complete halt. I'm sure that this is still fresh in our memory. And some councillors insulted the fellow citizens who do not see eye to eye with them, and some would use their remuneration and subsidy to get involved in illegal acts. They advocated violence, and in their capacity as councillors, they supported black-clad violence and independence, and they were polarizing the whole community. All these chaos are really food for thought. What are the district councillors supposed to do? In order to right the wrongs, and also to tie in with the NSL, the government put in place the oath system, and many councillors refused to take the oath, and they resigned on different pretexts. And in many district councils, not least Wong Tai Sin, the district council, they ended up with only 2 members. And many district councils, because of the dearth in the number of councillors, they failed to have any fruitful discussion of the policy issues. In some cases, they couldn't even elect the chairman. And nothing got done, and we wasted a few years' time. We're supposed to have 470 members. In this term, we have 1/3 of them, about 100 or so, who are still serving the district councils. Those who resigned just left the citizens behind, and they sacrificed the interests of the public. I think that this is the consequences of what they did during COVID. We should have the district councillors to engage in the battle against COVID, but many of the ward offices became vacant. They were vacated. Like my team at the beginning of the COVID, we were running out of face masks, and we're trying to secure the supplies. But in the community, many members of the public are complaining that district councillors were really not doing anything. And during the fifth wave, that's at the height of the COVID. We had to regroup and reassemble our team to assist in the vaccination program. We have to answer all these calls that are coming in with their requests for help. And the phones were ringing off the hook. And we don't really mind in the face of COVID, but despite all our efforts, despite our hard work, the members of the public angrily complained that where have the district councillors disappeared to? Where are they when they are most needed? A competent a councillor who is supposed to serve the members of the public, they should look after the needs of the members of the public. Now, in absence of all these councillors, we were struggling to cope with COVID in the community. Now, had it not been for the politicization, had it not been for the absence of the district councillors, could we have done a better job in a battle against COVID? Would people suffer a lot less? This is only an experience that shows the flaws and problems with the district council system, and this has deviated from the basic law principle of the district council being a district organization, and therefore the administration put forward the DC Amendment Bill 2023, and the two secretaries have been doing a lot of explaining to the public as to why we need this bill. We hope that prior to the next term, we will be able to reform the district councils and restore the function and strengthen the district governance. There are a lot of advantages, like the DOs will become the chair of the DCs that would facilitate better communication, and this would also enhance the consultative function of the DCs. And for the DO to be the chair, it would help the coordination of the three committees, the FCC, the FSC, and the AC. They will be working hand in glove with the care teams. They will be able to work with the district council returned from various means, and they will be far better in serving the public. The government also is introducing the performance monitoring mechanism. These district councillors can not really be acting wildly, and some district councillors were engaging in theatrics at the expense of the members of the public. In future, we can conduct investigation or even sanction these councillors. These will not only enhance the function of the DCs, but also restore the confidence in the public. The DC Amendment Bill 2023 is precisely trying to tackle the inadequacies and flaws of the previous system, and this will put everything back on the right track. The government will be able to get the finger on the pulse of the community. This will improve the district governance. I hope that upon completion of all this work and under the stewardship of the district officers, we will be able to return to the livelihood issues, and we prioritize livelihood issues, and a lot of all these perennial issues will be addressed collectively. And we will be back on the right track, and people will have a better life going forward. With these words, I support the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023 to improve the district governance.
Dr. Tan Yue Heng. Thank you, Madam Deputy. Well, Basic Law Article 97 already provides that we can have district organizations which are not organs of political power, and that can be consulted by the government of the region on district administration and other affairs, or to be responsible for providing services in such fields as culture, recreation, and environmental sanitization. However, the district council in recent years have been politicized, and they've been used to be seditious bodies, and time and again, they've escalated their actions, and for the 2019 black-clad violence that caused turmoil to Hong Kong, and everybody can see it. So the initial intention of the district organizations have been distorted. They have not been able to help resolve livelihood issues in the districts. They have actually caused or undermined the functions of the SAR government and even undermine the central authorities. That's the reason why in the District Council Amendment Bill 2023 with regard to the composition and also the election methods and arrangements and also the performance monitoring mechanism, there are provisions in the bill to depoliticize the district councils in order to make sure that it would be put back on the right track to serve people's livelihood issues, and therefore I speak in support of the bill. And I have the following suggestions. First, we have to actively make sure that the district council will be objectively reflect the views of the local residents, and we will also have to have an executive-led government so that the government's ability to mobilize the public on district issues, and also they should also become a bridge to promote the understanding between the government and the residents. And as the bill provides that the district council chairman will be the post will be taken up by district officers, and there might be concerns that in the future district councils will become the executive bodies of government policies, and in terms of feedback from the residents, will they be able to really relay those concerns to the administration? And the Bureau representative in explaining the bill already said that they would give importance to local residents' views, and they would not be lopsided in taking on board the views. In fact, we will have to increase the way we explain things, and it would also take time for us to prove that we would be honest to our words. And in building up the mutual trust, we would also have to respond to the voices of the community. We have to listen to diversified voices in the district council, and we cannot just accept certain views but not the others. And also, we have to reflect those that are in favor as well as those that are in opposition. And the bill has also introduced this performance monitoring mechanism, and the HYAB would also be coming up with administrative guidelines, and there would also be a list of negative behavior. And district councillors would also have to be accountable to their constituents, and they would have to have their performance monitored, and that can only be done by the chairman of the district council, or that could also be done by way of resolution of the district council. And the investigation process might also take some time, and therefore the administration can also consider that there should be improvements to the performance monitoring mechanism, and they could also take complaints from the public in order to further improve the disciplinary mechanism to go after those who have committed misconduct. And there should also be a discipline monitoring committee so that after taking up complaints from the public, they can also look at the relevant departments for follow-up action. That is the supervisory committee, which will be looking into these, so that district councillors will be serving the public, and they would also be serving the government. And talents can also be invited to join the district council after the reforms. District councillors will come from different sources, and that would also add to the current direct election model, so that we can also have district councillors from different backgrounds, and there would also be ex officio members, so that with the being an inclusive society, we should be more inclusive and have district councillors from different backgrounds as to how we can identify the right candidates to provide service in the district councils to ensure that the composition of individual district council would be able to represent different strata, different age groups, to reflect the voices of the community, and also to make sure that they would be firmly on the ground and understand the sentiments of the local residents. We propose that the administration should look at the needs of individual districts. They should attract more talents so that those who are concerned about labor rights and so on can also be attracted to join, because we'd like to have members with different backgrounds, and also we should also consider whether or not they can spare the time, their experience, and also their background to see if they are able to become competent district councillors, to ensure that, for full-time district councillors, they'd be able to devote their whole efforts to serving the community. With these remarks, I support the bill. Ms. Eunice Yong, I support the motion. I support the bill. The purpose is to reform the district council, to depoliticize it, and also to ensure that patriots would be running Hong Kong, so that they'd be able to serve their functions. Back in 2019, if you look at the district councils that were returned, it was hijacked by the opposition camp, and there was a lot of chaos, and they were targeting the officials, and they refused to talk to the government, and the efficiency was extremely low. And also for district projects that were responsible by that were the responsibilities of the district council, they were delayed and prolonged, and as a result, the district councils could not operate normally. So we will have to look at the proper functions of the district council. Many in the opposition camp might have misunderstood the functions, and they would have thought that so long as they were elected, that they could oppose to anything that they would like to oppose. Article 97 of the Basic Law says that district organizations which are not organs of political power may be established in the SAR to be consulted by the government of the region on district administration and other affairs like culture, recreation, and environmental situation, sanitization, and so on. So this is the function of the district council, and therefore they would have to observe the rules, and they should discharge their duties as district councils. That is what they should have done. In order to suppress the chaotic situation in the community, very fortunately, we were able to get the support from the central authorities, and they were able to introduce the NSL in a timely manner. And the Hong Kong government has also arranged for district councillors to take oaths to uphold the Basic Law, and also to defend the SAR, and several hundred district councillors resigned as a result of that, and as a result, the number of district councillors reduced very significantly. So instead of having over 400, only 146 remain in service. So it's only about 1/3 of the regional number. Most blatantly is the Wong Tai Sin, the Southern District, and also the Central and Western District. We only have a handful of district councillors remaining. So even if they had tried their best, they would not have been able to take care of the district issues, and therefore that's the reason why district councils have not been able to function properly. So all that has to be attributed to the systemic problems of the district councils, and many have been able to undermine the operation of the district council because of these social conditions, and as a result, district councils have not been able to function properly. Yes, our society has stabilized somewhat, and yet we will have to prevent that from happening again, and therefore there is a necessity for us to reform the district councils. President Xi, on the 1st of July last year, when we had a new term of government, he also said that there would be 4 necessities for the government to do, and one of those would be to completely implement the one country, two systems principle. We will have to make sure that that would be a total governance by the central authorities. We would also have to make sure that there would be patriots administering Hong Kong. We would also have to maintain the unique strengths and advantages of Hong Kong SAR, and therefore this bill has been able to perfect or improve the district council mechanism, and that's also one of the 4 necessities. And in the past, the problem was with the system, and as a result, the previous district councillors have been able to infiltrate the system, and they did not believe in the total governance by the central authorities, and they've also tried to undermine the governance by the SAR government, and therefore it's against the four principles, and they would be standing in the way of Hong Kong's development, and therefore this reform has plugged the loopholes of our past system, and that has also ensured that only the patriots would be elected and become district councillors. That's very important because only patriots would try to serve the long-term interests of Hong Kong. And district councils will have to deal with many livelihood issues. But then for non-patriots, they would not be standing in the interests of Hong Kong, and they would also not be acting in accordance with the demands of and aspirations of the public. They would only try to undermine the community, and they would just ignore the needs of a community. And therefore, we will have to make sure that non-patriots could not become district councillors. And there are also four expectations mentioned by President Xi. We will have to maintain a high standard of governance. We would also have to continue to energize our economy. We would have to maintain stability and prosperity and harmony. And that's also related to this bill. Number one, that would enhance district governance, and through reforming the district councils, district consultative bodies would be able to be given more functions, and that would also ensure the beneficial communication between the district and the central government, and in solving people's livelihood issues, that's also the frontline task of district councillors, because any livelihood issue is important. For example, traffic congestion, and also seepage, leakage problem of pipes and so on. They are all important matters. In the past, district councillors have not been able to discharge those duties, and as a result, there were a lot of grievances experienced by residents, and therefore district councillors should discharge the duties to ensure that they be following up cases diligently in order to ensure that there would not be such problems accumulating, and they will also have to serve the community properly, so that instead of politicizing the district councils, we would be able to go back to livelihood issues. Now, I'd like to turn to how we can make sure that district councillors will be serving livelihood issues, and the New People's Party has also got ward offices in different districts, but then many of these districts are middle class districts, and they would find it very difficult to identify accommodation for ward offices. So the administration will have to work hard after the reform of the district councils. Everybody would like to have ward offices to serve the public. So that is very important. It's not just for the appointed district councillors or elected district councillors. They should have their own ward offices instead of just having offices in public housing estates, because not everybody has the chance to win the ballots, and not all public housing estates can afford to have offices for these district councillors. So I think it's only fair that they should have ward offices instead of just renting or leasing short premises to run their offices. And also for care teams, how they can work together with district councils, and also for the 3 district committees, how they can work together. I think that's something that the administration will have to resolve in the future, because in the districts, we have also heard that for those who are working in care teams, if they make applications, and if they indeed become district councillors in the future, then the quota from the care teams would also have to be taken out. So that would also cause some problems to their work in the care teams. There might be some conflicts. The administration will have to clarify the situation. So once you become a member of a care team, or if you are leaders of the care teams, does that mean that they will have to take out their names after they have become district councillors? So I hope that the administration can clarify the situation for them, because after the reconstituted district councils, they would also have to know what their duties are, and they would also have to communicate effectively with the persons in charge, in particular the district council chairman, who would be the district officers. But then that would also be a very good manifestation of an executive-led government. But then how are they going to have effective communication? That's something that the administration will have to do. And therefore, I think that the bill does not just resolve an internal system problem. It will also help to ensure that we will be able to tie in with our country's initiatives, as mentioned by President Xi. I would have high hopes on this bill, and I hope that the administration will follow through this to ensure that district councils will be able to discharge their duties. Thank you.
Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, Madam Deputy. I support the passage of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023, and I hope that we can successfully hold the DC elections for 2023 so that we can give a sense of contentment and gain and happiness to our community. Now, I have taken part in 5 DC elections. The first was in 2003, where we had the July 1st march, and the last time was in 2019, where we had the Black Cloud violence. And in between the 3 elections, I was successfully returned to the DC of Kwai-Tsing. Now, in the past 12 years, I was most happy to be able to help residents to resolve their problems. Sometimes, even if I failed, at least they felt that there was someone to care for them. Now, in the 12 years, I was happy that I could successfully promoted the redevelopment of Second House and was able to ask for the replacement of bathtubs with showers for residents over 60 years old, and then handrails were added to bathrooms. This is the result of a collaboration between DC members and administration. Now, last few years, we had the COVID-19 pandemic, and then we could see that problems had to be resolved. Those who are minded to serve the community were failed in those elections. I think that is unkind to the community. If we are kind to our enemies, we're being cruel to ourselves, and it's also unfair to patriotic candidates, and we will let down those who are patriotic to the country. This bill will help us to reform DCs so that we have a legal framework for sound operation of the community, so the patriots who pledge allegiance to the Hong Kong SAR can serve the community, and DC members returned can feel the pulse of the community. Government policies will be people-oriented and serve the overall interests of the community. We can improve the economy and improve the livelihood of our people. The bill has amended CAP 547 DC ordinance and also subsidy legislation. There are 4 major foci. First, to enhance the advisory and sub functions of DCs, to set up the performance to accept the performance monitoring mechanism, to set up the eligibility review committee, and there are also textual amendments. I understand that in May, the administration held 22 forums, and district officers of all 18 districts were present to explain to the audience the proposals to improve governance at the district level. Most people present were in support, and the SL government received 25,000 submissions. Over 99% of them supported the proposals, and so there is wide community support and recognition for the proposals. The bill has to be amended to suit the wish of the community, so that we can continue to develop it. It's also display of our transition from stability to prosperity, because DCs have acted in a manner that has departed from the basic law, which states that the district organizations are not organs of political power, and those DC members were against the country and the SAR government. Article 97 of the Basic Law says that district organizations which are not organs of political power may be established in the Hong Kong SAR to be consulted by the government of the region on district administration and other affairs, or to be responsible for providing services in such fields as culture, recreation, and environmental sanitation. And under Article 61 of the Basic Law, we should advise the government on various matters, including the use of funds and the provision of view to the government. So the difference is to advise the government on and to be consulted by the government. So we have to delete Section 61 to add 4 new AE, and I think this is totally in line with the original intent of the Basic Law. It has no contradiction with the Basic Law. And there is also new Section 71A to allow the chairman of DC to direct DCs to consult the community on matters to be proposed by the government. So the government will take the lead. So this is to show that the government is committed and it will govern our districts on the basis of the welfare of the people, and the wish is to incorporate the views of the public. And we want our people, Hong Kong, and also the country to prosper. And then there is also Section 3A on the establishment of eligibility review committee, so that the DC candidates and also people to be appointed or ex officio member are up to their job. This will enhance the safeguards in the DCs to ensure that only patriots can be DC members, so that DCs will not be used as a means to undertake anti-government behavior using public funds. There should be eligibility review for all DC members to ensure that their mindset and behavior can safeguard the interests of the PRC as well as the SAR government. On appointed members and also DC members, now the composition or the ratio will be 4 to 4 to 4 to 2 with 27 ex officio members. This can improve the composition of DCs so that there can really be plurality and diversity to take care of the needs of different sectors of the community. Appointed members can rectify the current situation whereby GC members may use populist agenda to monopolize DCs. Now, in the past, the districts were too small, and as a result, people work for sectoral interests. Now we are going to have 44 DC areas, and I think that will help to improve the situations. There can be constructive proposals to improve the problems, and also there will no longer be vested interest. Not democracy can be displayed not just by fully returned councils. Well, the Prime Minister of the UK and the President of the US, they are not returned by one universal suffrage. So we should have confidence in our own system, in our own culture. We have to understand that we are Chinese. We should identify with our culture, our history, and we should have good legislation. Well, we need legislation that suits our situation. We must have the right size of shoes and not that we can walk properly. We must have a system and a legal framework that can address problems we face so that we can unite all forces in the community, and the SL government can safeguard national security, the security of our people, and the normal and effective operation of the DC so that we can display our vibrancy and we can be a world metropolis where everyone has a chance to shine. Thank you. Mr. Stanley Ng. Madam Deputy, the FTU fully supports the improvement of governance at the district level, and therefore it is an urgent task for DCs to be reformed. I have written columns on newspaper to set out the history of district councils. I can recommend my article to all members for reference. The British colonial government ruled Hong Kong for over a century. We failed to see any arrangement for people to be involved in district governance. It was not only shortly before the handover that they introduced district administration. Was not out of good intention. Rather, they would like to control the development of the situation in Hong Kong, and they would like to groom their own people to take control. Since the reunification, we have seen politicization of district administration. DCs have been used as a means to subvert the government and to advocate independence of Hong Kong. Organizations which are not organs of political power is no longer advisory in nature, and they have become anti-government organizations funded by public money. So they are really using public resources or government funds to oppose the government. This is totally ridiculous. This is a serious problem and has seriously undermined social stability and national security. There were plenty of loopholes, and we must reform our institution in order to rectify the situation. For instance, radio RTHK was hijacked by the black-clad rioters, and the situation is now rectified, and we cannot wait anymore to reform our DCs. In 2019, we had black-clad DC members. They acted in a subversive manner. They were not constructive. They did not look at real issues. They had political motives. They deceived members of the public to gain political chips. They displayed insulting slogans outside the chambers of district councils. Here's an example to show you how ridiculous it was back then. They refused to serve people with different political views. So they use political issues to override the need of our people. And black-clad violent DC members use DC funds to engage in those propaganda. They wanted to change the names of our public clerks to commemorate those black-clad violence. They cheated members of the public like dogs. Those residents were required to chant slogans to support them before they could get service of the DC. It was really intolerable. So in the 19th plenary session of the NPC, we were asked to set up a sound system, and we were asked to improve the one country, two system arrangement. District governance of DC is an important element of our governing structure. We can now review and reform our DCs to remove political nature of district councils, and now they can really become organs of political power. They can really serve the public, and I think we should support the bill. FTU supports the bill and appeals to members to support the bill. There are 4 justifications for supporting the bill. First, there are many deep-seated problems in the community waiting to be resolved. If DCs can retake their advisory role, then they can help the government to improve district governance and enhance the efficacy and efficiency of governance. After improving the DCs, district officers will be the first one to be accountable in district governance. They can promote initiatives to address livelihood issues. It would no longer be like what it was during the black clot violence. We hope that the reformed DCs can enhance services to the community so that we can really be people-oriented. Secondly, the introduction of a nomination system and eligibility review mechanism can ensure that only patriots can administer Hong Kong so that we won't have vacancies of DCs as a result of DC members refusing to take oath. Thirdly, there will be a performance monitoring mechanism in the new system. There will be very objective indicators to measure the performance of DCs. So we can help to rebuild the positive image of DC members. Fourthly, DCs will be more balanced in their composition so that we can really have competent members serving in DCs. We will have appointed members as well as district committee constituency so that people who are competent and professional and yet are not very conversant in politics can be appointed to serve in DCs as well. Improving district governance will have an impact on the interests of millions of people in Hong Kong, and so we have to act speedily. Myself and FTU fully support the passage of the bill. It is only by passing the bill that we can really have patriots administer Hong Kong, and we can implement measures to enhance district governance, address livelihood issues so that we can have a solid foundation for prosperity and stability, and we have good governance and we can transition from stability to prosperity. Thank you.
Secretary Chan. Thank you, Madam Deputy. Madam Deputy, the DAB is in support of the District Council Amendment Bill 2023. Since the announcement of this improvement of district governance model, the LegCo has embarked on the scrutiny work, and the DAB, along with various district organizations, set up street booths to explain to the members of the public the advantages of this reform, and we collected public views. In a nutshell, the DAB is of the view that this would be conducive to national security. This will improve the district governance, and we will implement patriots administering Hong Kong. This would provide a solid foundation for district governance, and this is a high-quality democratic system. We said that in 2019, after the election, the whole thing became politicized. The district councils, which were supposed to talk about district issues, turned into a platform for those who opposed China and plotted to ruin Hong Kong. That became the base for the independence of Hong Kong. Some refused to serve the members of the public. They were against the idea of organizing activities to do with China. Like in Taipo, we have been organizing the Dragon Boat Festival, Dragon Boat race for so many years. But since this is a tradition of the Chinese culture, and the opposition parties refused to grant the funding, there were some rural events that were related to the patriotic members, and the opposition also rejected point blank all these events in the rural community. And all these go to show that they are being politically oriented. And the district council over the past couple of years were completely grinding to a halt. A lot of the livelihood issues were falling by the wayside, and the members of the public became the victims. So this new model will ensure that we will be adopting this principle of patriots administering Hong Kong. We'll make sure that the district councils will not be interfered with by those who oppose China and plot to mess up Hong Kong. And the performance monitoring mechanism would enable us to make sure that these principles will not be undermined. In the new model, the key thing is to make sure that the district councils will be restored to its consultative function, and the DCs are supposed to advance their input regarding the livelihood issues in the community. So this revamped model does carry a lot of advantages. Some might argue that there is a diminution. I mean, the democratic elements have become diminished. But this is only one of the ways to manifest the diverse views. The appointed members and the elected members can also contribute their insights regarding district affairs. I was a DC member myself, and in that era, there were appointed members. I was an elected member at that time. I was serving my constituents, but indeed, there are so many other jobs that have to be done, and these may not be undertaken by the elected members. So there were some appointed members who would take up the advisory role, and they would also coordinate the huge-scale events. So they do have a role to play. And in many of the district development projects, they have their unique needs, like the Northern Metropolis. If the district councils can appoint some members who have particular expertise, be it innovation in technology and planning and so on, if we can have all these members roped into the councils, it certainly would stand the district councils in good stead. So we cannot argue that we should look at or focus our attention on the number of directly elected seats. Rather, we should look at the functions that will be fulfilled by the councillors in a way that will improve the livelihood. That is the most important thing for Hong Kong. Madam Deputy, we're transitioning from governance to prosperity. There are so many issues that are on our plate, and there are indeed many issues in the community that are crying out for solutions. So if we can have a diverse range of members, it will be good for the members of the public. It will only be good for the government. In this bill, another focus is the role of the district officers who will take up the chairmanship of the district councils, and they would be steering the district councils. Now, this arrangement manifests the principle of executive-led governance in Hong Kong, and the government officials can coordinate the government resources that much better, and that would be smoothing out the work of the district councils and make them more efficient. We have different committees, DFCCs, DFSCs, area committee and care teams, and they were coordinated by the district officers. If the DOs can play a good coordinating role, that would avoid a situation where the district committees will be overlapping in the duties, amounting to a wasteful use of resources, and that would enable us to provide better services to the community. We can see that as a result of the publication of the proposal, the Alliance in support of improved district governance has collected signatures. They have collected 1.6 billion signatures from the members of the public in support of the revamped model, and that is a recognition of their support. And I hope that the Council would endorse the bill so that we would be able to see better district councils going forward. With these words, I support the bill. Mr. Chen Pui Lau. Madam Deputy, I rise to speak in support of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. The sixth term of the councils will come to the end by the end of the year, the government is putting forward this proposal. And this covers the composition, the way in which the members are going to be elected. And this is reforming the district councils, and fundamentally, the government is improving the district governance. And this is an important step in our transition from governance to prosperity. During the sixth term, members acted in a way that undermined Hong Kong, undermining the interests and well-being of the public, and they have deviated from the function of the councils. Many members refused to take an oath. Some were disqualified. And we've ended up with 1 in 46 district councillors. This is really detrimental to public well-being. We have to put things right. As a result of the reform, there are a number of obvious changes. First, we're going to restore the district councils to district organizations which are not organs of political power. They are there to be consulted by the government on district administration and other affairs. And in terms of cultural, recreational, and environmental hygiene, they will be offering their input. The functions will be reformed in a way that they will be able to discharge their duties in accordance with the basic law and offer their constructive input regarding district affairs and serving the members of the public. Second, this revamped model manifests the fact that we have to accord top priority to national security. We have to have patriots administering Hong Kong, and we are plugging all the loopholes, and we have to play a gatekeeping role instead of allowing the councils to degenerate into a platform for political maneuvers. And the DOs will become the chairman, and the DCs will be tying in with the government administrations. The DOs are well up in the district affairs. They can play a leading role, and they can coordinate the DFCCs, the DFSCs, ACs, and the care teams, and they can also collect views regarding specific issues. Third, as a result of the reform, the composition would be more balanced, and there would be broad representation and acceptance. We have appointed seats, district committees, constituency, and district council geographical constituencies, and people with different expertise will be able to take part instead of descending into populism. We can have the global, the whole picture, and I'm sure that we will be able to attract a lot more people who are patriotic and with an affection for Hong Kong. They will be bridging the gap between the government and the public. And the policies can be filtered down to the community, and this will enhance the efficiency of governance in Hong Kong. I think this is a new breakthrough, and that is the introduction of the performance monitoring mechanism. Previously, the councillors got in the way of the government administration, and they were engaging in outrageous behaviors, and there was nothing to monitor them. And I think this system will make sure that things will be on the right track. And under this performance monitoring mechanism, we're going to have the list of negative behavior. And for those who are behaving below par, they will be investigated into, and depending on the severity of the behavior, proper penalty will be meted out. This would ensure accountability on the part of the district councillors. And I hope that the administration would come up with more quantifiable, transparent KPIs. We can collectively monitor the district councillors, make sure that they are up to scratch. Madam Deputy, this reform is addressing the root cause of the chaos, and this is really preparing us for good governance. And we are actually improving the district governance to help the members of the public. With these words, I support the District Council Amendment Bill 2023.
Dr. III.Gov. Madam Deputy, to improve district governance and also enhance the effectiveness of district governance, DC in Council on the 2nd of May published the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023, and through amending the relevant legislation and administrative arrangements, they try to implement the reforms under Article 97 of the Basic Law. District councils are not organs of political power, and they are consulted by the government of the SAR on district administration and other affairs, or to be responsible for providing services in such fields as culture, recreation, and environmental sanitation. But then for the anti-China and patriots in the past few years, they undermined the system, and they also engage in black-clad violence, and they use that as a platform of political struggles, and as a result they were not able to help with people's livelihood issues. In order to improve the situation, 3 principles had to be adopted. National security must be given top priority, and they must fully implement the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong, and fully practice an executive-led governance, and also to fully implement the executive-led system, and also to enhance the ability to mobilize the local institutions. And on behalf of the BPA, I joined the alliance on supporting good governance in Hong Kong, and through our local network, we set up some 400 kiosks throughout the territory to explain the details of the bill to the public, and we collected a total of 100,000 signatures in support of that. So we are now in a new stage whereby we would be moving from chaos to good governance, and in order to improve our district governance and effectiveness, reforming the district council system is necessary. Well, under the bill, we have to amend Cap 547, that is District Council's Ordinance and other relevant legislation. The whole purpose is to enhance the consultative and advisory functions, and also district officers will become District Council chairman, and they will also take charge of District Council affairs, and they would also come up with rules on how the district councillors should be returned, and also their eligibility screening mechanism would also be introduced, and also there would also be a mechanism to sanction misbehavior or misconduct of district councillors. I support this proposal, and for appointed members or appointing members from the district committees, and also the ratio would be around 4:4:2 amongst these 3 categories, and also there would also be 27 ex-officio members. And from the district committees, they are from the District Fight Crime Committee, the District Fire Safety Committees, and also the district committees as well as area committees. And then for the revamped district councils, there would also be some 44 constituencies, and then for elected members, they would be representing a larger constituency, and they would be able to deal with district issues from a macroscopic perspective. We believe that a 4:4:2 ratio would enable the constitution or composition of the district councils to become more diversified, so that district councillors and elites from different walks of life and backgrounds can be elected, and they would also be able to provide better services to the community. Well, district council district administration development is something that is very close to my heart. On the 1st of July 1992, I was appointed as a provisional district councillor in Sha Tin, and despite the fact that I had a lot of experience in engineering and so on, and also during my spare time, I also took part in the Hong Kong Institute of Engineers and so on. I've been serving in those bodies, but then until then, it was the first time that I was able to really extend my services to the district level. And after that, I was repeatedly appointed as a Sha Tin district councillor for 14 years. And in the course of that, I used my engineering and management experience, and I was able to serve the community at different levels. Because there's no small constituency, because I was elected as a Sha Tin district councillor, and therefore I had to serve the entire district. I would be monitoring the policies with regard to Sha Tin. I would also be supervising district minor works. I actively took part in all matters relating to Sha Tin, including the Dragon Boat Festival and also the Sha Tin District Festival. And I was also chairman of a committee. I also made use of my professional background and network to help the government in promoting IT Hong Kong and other special projects. And what is also memorable is that in 2003, we had the SARS outbreak and the economy suffered a great deal. And at the District Council, I helped promote local community economy, and I organized a series of events. And I believe that for District Councillors with a business background, if they could make use of their background and also experience and also their network, then in terms of district governance, they'd be able to play a unique role. And since becoming a district councillor, I also started to join the political circle, and in 2012, I won in the election to become a legislative councillor. That's I won in the engineering sector, and with the district governance committee led by the chief secretary for administration, that would also help coordinate the different policies, and the Deputy Secretary for Administration would also be running another committee to ensure that they'll be able to coordinate with district councils on district issues. So I believe that the new setup would also be able to make sure that that would be executive-led governance that would also help enhance the grassroots governance standards, and that would also help deal with livelihood issues. So under the revamped system, we'd be able to have patriots administering Hong Kong, and the executive and the legislature would also have more conducive collaboration, as the term is expiring by the end of this year, and therefore we have a very tight schedule to implement this. And on the 2nd of May, after the publication of the new package, we immediately set up a subcommittee under the House to scrutinize the package, and Martin Liao and myself became the chairman and deputy chairman of the committee. And then on the 31st of May, after the bill was finally tabled before this council, we immediately turned the subcommittee into a bills committee, and the composition was the same as the subcommittee in order to ensure continuity of work. And we've been very meticulous in our scrutiny of the bill, and we made a number of suggestions, and also the concerns raised by the legal advisor were also taken on board. For example, on 72D, bracket 1 and C, there was this reference to reflect that after district councillors have had their duties suspended under the new mechanism, they would no longer have the power to deal with district issues, and that would also be in line with the original purpose of the policy. And we've been very meticulous in our scrutiny work. With these remarks, I support the passage of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023, and also the CSAs moved by the Secretary of Constitutional and Mainland Affairs. Mr. Chen Zhenying. Madam Deputy, I speak in support of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. Over the years, the government and the district councils have, on the principle of mutual respect, been serving the community. But then until the 6th term of the district council election, the situation changed very drastically, because many from the opposition camp joined the district council, and they changed the district council into a platform for political struggle, and they tried to undermine the government's governance, and they repeatedly misconducted themselves, which was against the principle of district governance, and they were actually standing in the way of harmony in the community. And after we have implemented the oath-taking requirements, many of them have been disqualified, and some just resigned. As a result, out of the 470 plus seats, had some 300 plus becoming vacant, and in some cases, only 2 or 3 members would be left. And this situation obviously was not acceptable. That means that the current mechanism is no longer working, and therefore there are obvious loopholes and problems, and therefore the existing term would expire by the end of this year, and therefore in the new term we will have to revamp the situation and correct the wrong in order to put everything back onto the right track. Well, in 1999, after the passage of the District Council Ordinance, we set up the new District Councils, and the legislation also provides for the functions of the District Councils with regard to the role and also functions. There were some reviews by the administration, but then with regard to the positioning of district-based organizations and so on, that has not changed. In recent years, district councillors and chairmen of district councils deliberately distorted the roles and functions of the district council, and they tried to turn that into a district governance bodies, and they said that they had the right to monitor the performance of the government, and they would also challenge the decisions made by the administration, and they threatened to abort the district-based minor works and so on, and they try to propagate their wrong political ideas and so on. And there are 9 clauses, and the roles of the district councils have been very clearly defined in order to tie in with the government's policy, because they are the pulse of the administration at the local level, so that they be able to help with the administration and try to promote harmony and cohesion in a community. And in the past, they have violated many rules and regulations. For example, they were against the introduction of the national security law, and after the amendment, the chairman of the district council will be taken up by the district officers, and they would also say that they would only commission district councillors to collect views on certain issues, and they would also make standing orders. They would also designate district councillors to become members of the subcommittee to become members of the committees, so that they would still take the lead in district affairs. That would be in line with the original purpose of having an executive-led government. And the district officers, being the head of the district officers, they would also take up the chairmanship of district councils, and they would be taking up both roles, and therefore their duties would only increase. But then right now is just an officer from the AO staff grade C. And I've also said at the relevant committees and Bills Committee that we will have to consider enhancing the ranking of the district officers, and they should also be given more powers in order to play a higher coordinating role, in order to coordinate among different bureaus and departments. And for those who are competent in taking up such posts, they can also become other policy bureaus' talents. And in terms of the composition of the district councils, there would also we would also revive the appointment system. In the past, we did have, and for appointed members, they have their own expertise and backgrounds. They would be able to serve the community, and all along, that has been working well. It was only scrapped in 2015, and by reviving this system, the administration would be able to look at the circumstances of individual districts, and they would be able to attract talents with relevant experience to join the district council, and the appointment would be done on the basis of the entire districts, and that would also help solve the previous problems, and they would also help increase the involvement of people with different expertise and so on. And district councils has become a part of our political system, and therefore patriots and also defending national security would be very important. Well, in the past, we had the anti-China and seditionists joining the district councils, and they also try to smear the government and also our country. And now we have introduced the system for anybody who would smear the system and who would not be patriotic and who is not prepared to uphold the system. They would not be allowed to join the district council, and we would be able to prevent these people from joining the district council, and therefore we would be able to ensure that only the patriots would be able to administer Hong Kong. And those who are trying to undermine the operation of the district council, well, the previous system has not been able to suppress these acts. It has not been able to investigate into their conduct, and now we have introduced this supervision or supervisory system, and therefore in the future, if their conduct is not able to live up to public expectations, for example, if they have repeatedly been absent from meetings and so on, then in accordance with the mechanism, we can immediately trigger investigation into their conduct. I believe that would also help enhance their accountability. And also, after the proposal was introduced, I've also gone to the district to consult the residents, and many told us that their expectation would be very simple. They just wanted the district councillors to help with their livelihood issues so that they can live more happily. And therefore, under the revamped system, some 400 plus patriots will become district councillors, and together with the 3 district committees and the care teams, will be able to really feel the pulse of the local communities and what can be done more efficiently and effectively. That would also help enhance the standard of district governance. And as a member of the Bills Committee, I've taken part throughout the process of the scrutiny, and I also took part in this clause-by-clause scrutiny. A lot of suggestions and recommendations were made by members of this council, and also the recommendations by the Bureau and the legal advisors team were also considered very seriously, and some 28 amendments will be moved. I support the bill together with the CSAs moved by the administration. But then this is just the first step in improving district governance, and of course this is the most important part of it. Next, the government will have to make plans for the election that would take place this year, and also appoint appropriate members to the district council, and they would also have to supervise the conduct of district councillors to ensure that residents will be able to feel that the district councils are back on the right track to serving the community. Thank you.
Mr. Duncan Chiu. Madam Deputy, I speak to support the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. The bill shows the government's commitment to safeguard national security, to ensure that we have an executive-led government and that only patriots can administer Hong Kong. I fully support the proposals on improving governance at the district council to reform our district councils, and we can also improve our district governance structure fundamentally so that district councils can be brought back to the right track and they can become district advisory bodies to safeguard the interests of the community. There are 4 major areas in the bill. First, to enhance the advisory and service functions of DCs. Second, to designate district officers as DC chairman and empower them to lead the work of DCs. 3, to optimize the composition of DCs and also set the corresponding methods of filling those seats and introduce an eligibility review mechanism. And the 4th is to introduce a performance monitoring mechanism for DC members, which includes investigation DC members whose behavior falls short of public expectation and imposing sanctions according to the severity of the case. Article 97 of the Basic Law states very clearly that district organizations which are not organs of political power may be established in the Hong Kong SAR to be consulted by the government of the region on district administration and other affairs, or to be responsible for providing services in such fields as culture, recreation, and environmental sanitation. So they are not organs of political power. They are consultative in nature. This is undoubtable. But since the last term of DCs, things have gone wrong. Many DC members acted in a way incompatible with them being DC members. They have also done things that threaten national security and also interfere with governance of the government. And a large number of DC members refused to take oath and resigned for various reasons. And some were disqualified for making invalid oaths. As a result, we only have 146 seats still filled by serving members, only 1/3 of the original number. This has greatly hampered the work of DCs and also the SL governments in taking forward district policies. So we support amendment to the ordinance so that we can fully implement the original intent of Article 97 of the Basic Law, so that our DCs can respond to public aspirations. Now, after the reform, DC chairman will no longer be elected from amongst DC members. Instead, they will be district officers and they will lead the work of DCs, because Article 97 of the Basic Law has stated very clearly that DCs are to be consulted by the government of the region on district administration. This sentence is clear. It is the government who takes the lead to consult DCs. So we have to reaffirm the leadership of the government in a district consultation, and DCs DOs should be chairman of DC. They can help help DCs to address complaints, and then they can also coordinate among the three committees and also the care teams and also DCs in serving the public. There will be appointed members, there will be district committee constituency members, there will be DC geographical constituency members in the ratio of 4 to 4 to 2, plus another 27 ex officio members. I welcome this new composition of DCs so that we can have representatives from different professions, from different sectors with different expertise, and that can enhance the balanced participation of DCs. As a member from the IT constituency, of course, one DC members or more people with INT expertise and knowledge can serve as DC members. They can use their expertise to serve the community and to advise the government on the application of technology. This can also enhance the efficiency of district governance. Then on a district level, we can also popularize the application of INT to enhance people's awareness, and we can also use INT to address community issues. I support the redelineation of GC because in the past the constituencies were too small, and as a result there was a sectoral interest. As mentioned by members, there could be heated debate over the location of a bus stop, and therefore we should have bigger DC GCs so that we can be more balanced. And there will all candidates of DCC members and DCGC members will have to go through eligibility review, and even appointed and ex officio members, they have to go through the same process. The eligibility review committee will review and confirm the eligibility of the candidates of LC and CE as well, but there is no legal backing for the same committee to review the eligibility of DC candidates, and therefore I support the establishment of a DCERC for implementation of the bill. And then there will be a performance monitoring mechanism established. The Secretary for HYA can issue guidelines, and there will be a checklist of negative behavior. The Supervisory Committee can investigate and submit a report to the Secretary. Based on the report, the Secretary can decide whether a letter of persuasion or sanctions should be imposed. Sanctions can include fines or suspension from duties. I'm sure this mechanism can continuously monitor the performance of DC members during their term to ensure that they can live up to public expectation. I believe many members of the public are like myself. They have high hopes for the reformed DCs. Hopefully, by the 1st of January next year, we can have a new term of DCs so that they can serve the community, and that we can really have an executive-led government, and DCs can support the government in district governance. We can enhance the efficacy of district governance with the help of DCs. With these remarks, I support the DC Amendment Bill 2023. Dr. Dick Chi-yun. Madam Deputy, I speak to support the DC Amendment Bill 2023. Right from the 1980s, together with a group of like-minded persons, I started to take part in DC elections. When I was a member of the Northern District Council, we worked very hard to improve livelihood. We consider the shortage of school places in the Northern District. We asked for training river training of the Shamjiang River. As a result, we have seen great improvement in facilities in the Northern District, and we worked very hard to address the livelihood difficulties of people who came forward for help. There was compassionate housing for elderly persons. There was appropriate compensation for clearance, and also we helped people to find school places. I think this is what DC members have been doing day in, day out. We reflect the wish of the people to the administration and to monitor the administration's district governance. We promoted community development. Our slogan was to fight for democracy and to improve livelihood. DCs were a good place to groom political talents. Mr. Ming Yam, Mr. Lau Kong Wah, and even the Secretary for YHA, Ms. Alice Mack, who used to be a member among us, were also DC members. They were very outstanding DC members during their office. Many of the members present used to be district council members. They fought for the cause of the community. The performance have allowed them to give full play to their potential. So district councils are irreplaceable in terms of a training ground for political talents. The major function of DCs is to reflect the aspirations of the people. As elected members of DCs, we conduct questionnaire survey, we conduct home visits, we poll the public opinion, and we bring these views to the administration so that the latter will give full consideration to these views in policy formulation. We make regular work reports, and we provide progress reports of development in the community. We don't want to be cheerleaders of the government and just help the government to sell its policies. Rather, we want to be on the side of the people to promote their well-being. Under the reformed DCs, 40% of the DC members will be appointed ones. Appointed members used to be rather passive because they all have their own full-time jobs. They cannot dedicate all their time to the work of DCs. Many often, they did not have their own ward offices. In the proposal, only 20% of the DC members will be DCGC members. However, the number of appointed members will be double that of the elected members, so the former should be more proactive than the latter. It is for the government to select appointed members. The government should, in appointing them, should consider whether they can devote their full time and energy to the work of DCs. DOs will be future DC chairmen. As chairman of DCs, I hope they can be fair and just in dealing with DC proceedings and different views in the DC, so that they will not be there to control DCs. So DC members should be allowed to express their opinions so long as they have acted in accordance with the standing orders. There will also be a district governance task force. Hopefully, it can enhance coordination and enhance the efficiency of district administration. In the past, it was district officers who did the coordination, but now the work will be passed to CS4A and Deputy CS4A. We have high hopes for them. We have gone through a process of development when it comes to district administration. According to the basic law, in future, both the CE and LC members will be returned by universal suffrage. We must create a favorable environment for implementation of universal suffrage. DCs should be on the path of democracy as well. In the future, we hope to see more DCGC members. DCs represent public opinions. If the people are not duly represented, there can be potential destabilizing force. Everyone has its blind spot, and the officials and the government need monitoring of councils. Otherwise, they will become subjective, and there can be potential problems. Given the quality of Hong Kong people, we deserve a democratic structure. People are worried that democracy can be damaging, but I think such worries are unwarranted because all DC or LC members are patriotic. We are committed to the beneficial development of society. We all agree now that confrontation is not a way out. We should go for dialogue instead, and therefore different voices should be accommodated. Hong Kong is a community with diversity. Some are for the for building houses on the golf course. Some are against. Some are for importation of labor. There are trade unions who oppose. This goes to show that we are a pluralistic society. We need different voices. If there is only one single voice in Hong Kong, this is not beneficial. We should accommodate different views in DCs so that we can seek common grounds and find a solution that can bring most benefits to everyone. We will consider taking part in the coming DC elections. This is a challenging task, but we dare to move forward to show our commitment for society. The threshold for the future DCs is high. We understand that after the social events, the government need more safeguards. But then under the new system, we should allow people with different political beliefs and who are committed to take part in these elections, so long as they uphold the basic law and can pledge allegiance, they should be allowed to run. Once again, I appeal to people within the political spectrum to join the DC election so that together we can promote the development of democracy. With these remarks, I support the bill.
Dr. Priscilla Leung. Madam Deputy, I rise to speak in support of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023 and all the CSAs to be moved by the Secretary. In the July speech by President Xi, not only does he affirm the one country, two systems, he put forward 4 musts and 4 proposals. One of them is to improve governance and also to address the concerns and difficulties of the people in daily life. I've been involved in district council work for the government to put forward these reform proposals for the district council. I feel gratified. Article 97 of the Basic Law provides that the Hong Kong SAR can establish district organizations which are not organs of political power. Second, these are not organs of political power. It is not a role to promote the constitutional reform. Their role is very much for consultation by the government. So I think we have to restore to the original intent of the Basic Law. We should keep within the confines of the Basic Law. Under the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong, the Reformed District Council should fulfill 3 functions. First, to assist the government in improving livelihood and resolve conflicts in the community. Second, we have to improve the planning in the community. Third, they should be bridging the gap between the government and the members of the public. Whatever means the members are returned by, we cannot have the following 3 scenarios. First, we cannot be populist just because we want to win election. We have to set great store by quality. Second, we cannot use this as the platform to disseminate wrong information. And third, councillors, directly or indirectly elected, should have the whole picture in mind. They should avoid a silo mentality. of their constituencies, we should move ahead collectively. So we have to depoliticize the district councils so that those who are committed to serving Hong Kong will have multiple channels for people to take part in the district work. Madam Deputy, I've been involved in district councils for 3 terms between 2018 to 22. There were a lot of members who had their own special expertise, and they do have the connection in the community to help the district councils to achieve consensus over contentious issues. So I do recognize the members there. When I first took part in politics, I took part. There were 20 members who were appointed, directly elected, and they were lawyers and engineers and planners. And our successful collaboration enabled us to do something about the situation in Hong Kong. We turned Hong Kong into a fine promenade. We fought for 4 MTR stations. We took part in so many MACs. We offered loads of legal advice, and this is the memorable experience that I have about the district councils. So when it comes to the district councils, and I hope that the role will continue, long may this continue into the future, and I hope that we can maintain the title district councils into the future. However, I've seen the district councils degenerating. They began to lose their advantages. After the abolition of the appointed seats, the district councils turned into a battleground for political power. And we had the Occupy Central and also the Blackcat violence. The district councils became highly politicized. What saddens me is that those who are engaging in mutual destruction, those who don't have a shred of experience in district work, they got elected by majority votes. Some said that with a diminished number of direct elected seats, it would amount to a retrograde step. And I've decided not to take part in district council election anymore. I fell off backward to serve the community. I've been fighting for so many things for the district councils. And in 2015, there was a member who prided himself to be radical, and he got elected. And this is an unreasonable result. And I said to my constituent that, sorry, I'll be out of it. So I stopped being part of the Wang Pao East constituency. This is a unique example. And there are 2 zones, and because of one street, because of one drainage, we could not really get on with some of the projects. And I think that the constituency should be made larger, and we should have a number of councillors with different expertise taking part. Some are more familiar with the district, and some have their own special expertise. And if they can work together, we will be able to achieve that much more. I don't think we should allow anybody who are minded to bring Hong Kong to its knees to be serving, and some were using words that are insulting the motherland. And I don't think this is good enough. This is outrageous. They should not be allowed into the district councils. I must make it plain that the number of directly elected seats should not be the only yardstick to measure the district councils by. Some argue that this proposal is a retrograde step, and this is not right. Now, with the secretary here, we have the KPIs. We're going to have some results or deliverables to measure the district councils by. We can judge on whether the councils would be able to improve the lot of the people and to instill a sense of well-being. So the appointed or members returned by appointment by indirect election or direct election, they will have to work their socks off in future because the government will be pushing them along. And I also think that this system is manifesting executive-led advantage. Over the past so many years, we failed to achieve that. Those who opposed China and plotted to ruin Hong Kong were really wreaking havoc. And we have already put in place the NSL, and we have turned the situation around. We are moving towards some high-quality politics, and I'm sure that at the district level, we cannot allow it to fall behind. We cannot be behind the curve. And this reform is an important step for us to move towards executive-led government and good governance. Now, the CS is leading the SSDG, and the DCS is heading the TFDG. And I was really renowned for being someone to exterminate the rodents. It is really a bit of a tall order because we were not working collectively. It would be hard to get things done. And also the SHY will be keeping the district councillors on their toes. Now, this is the point that I've never thought about. I mean, the previous ones I did make the recommendations, and that is the chairmanship being taken up by the district officers. Some said that there should be KPIs for them. They're going to have they're going to have a lot of work on their plate, and also we are transitioning from governance to prosperity. And this is the task handed down by the central authorities, and this is a mission that we should bear in mind, so I speak. Mr. Jiming, Madam Deputy, I rise to speak in support of the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. This amendment seeks to amend KEV 547 and all the subsidiary legislation to amend the composition and function of the council, and there will be a mechanism to deal with misbehavior, and also there are technical amendments. In terms of public consultation, the government has organized briefing sessions to brief the members of the public on the proposal. Though the attendees, the majority of them are in support of this proposal. And in May 2023, 25,000 submissions were received, and well over 99% of them were in support. And there are voices to reform the district councils. Now we have the alliance in support of the reform managed to collect 1.6 million signatures within a short space of time, and this goes to show the groundswell of support for this reform. Under Article 97 of the Basic Law, the district councils are district organizations which are not organs of political power. They're there to be consulted by the government on district administration and other affairs, and they also deliver cultural, recreational, and environmental sanitary services. But those who oppose China and plotted to ruin Hong Kong got in the way of administration, and they turned the district council into a platform for their ulterior motive. And people did suffer, and they have no one to turn to when they were in trouble. And it's because of the NSL that we are transitioning from governance to prosperity. Now, as a result of this reform, we will be able to address the district issues that much more effectively. The presidency said that we have to respond to public aspirations, and we are doing just that. This reform retains the elected elements, and we're also able to absorb more people with special expertise to be part of the DC and to improve the efficacy of district governance and serve the community that much better. I noticed, Madam Deputy, some of the amendments or proposed amendments, and this goes to show that we are playing a good gatekeeping role, and this also highlighted public concerns and all the issues that are arising. As to the Section 14 of the ordinance and 14G1 regarding the consultative body, People's Consultative Body, other than the CCPCC, it also includes the People's Consultative Body at the provincial, county, and municipality level. This shows that we can absorb the expertise of people who are familiar with the mainland situation. Another issue of concern is the monitoring mechanisms. Section 72 of the bill hasn't gone into details about that. According to the administration, the intention is to put in place a performance monitoring mechanism and to provide more flexibility there. I noticed that some of the details are administrative guidelines, like the list of negative behavior, and they can form the evidence. And 7B5 outlines that just because contravening the guidelines would incur any civil and criminal liability, it means that the breach of the guidelines will not form the course of action or any criminal offense. So the administration can specify the penalty, like they cannot declare any expenditure, and so on. I must point out that it is important for the administration to get to grips with public aspirations, because this is foundation of stability, and hopefully the government will get the powers of the public aspirations, so I speak.
Bill 10. Mr. President, the District Council is a very important pillar in supporting good governance in Hong Kong, and it's also a very important system under which patriots would be administering Hong Kong, and therefore I support the revamp package. I think it's very simple to understand. That is, we will have to ensure stability in a community. We would have to avoid a repeat of the black clad violence in 2019, and therefore, after completing our historic task, on the 31st of December this year, we will no longer have the old district councils. And during this new term of government, we'd like to have strong governance, and that's also a manifestation by having this revamped system. And I believe that with the revamped system, then we'd be able to ensure that there'd be a good and strong governance, and that can also be implemented thoroughly. Well, back in 2019, because of the black clad violence, Hong Kong's community was thrown into chaos, and because of the black money support, they've been able to do doxing, and there was also bullying both online and offline, and there was also a lot of black-clad propaganda, and as a result, many people were living in fear, and also for those candidates standing in the district council election, they were maliciously attacked. There was even arson, and some was even assailed, and there were also Molotov cocktail thrown to their ward offices and so on. We received a lot of bullying messages and so on, and in the end, I lost by 32 votes. I remember at the counting station, both inside and outside the polling station, there were hundreds of black-clad rioters, and even if I won, I would not be able to ensure my safety, and that was how I felt. So in 2020, 2020, there was a lot of bullying and there was a lot of violence. So did they really want to serve the community? Were they really concerned about people's livelihood? Did they try to improve transport and so on? Of course, that's not the case. They were just trying to manipulate the situation, and they were also paving the way for Hong Kong independence, and one country, two systems would be undermined, and they were trying to ruin Hong Kong. So everything would end if they continue in their office, and therefore we need to revamp the system, and that's the most important thing, so that we can put everything back on the right track. And also with the performance monitoring mechanism, definitely they would not be able to ruin Hong Kong, and they would not be able to sabotage everything. With the reform system, then both district councils would be able to act as a bridge between the government and the communities, and we would be able to ensure that there would be strong governance. And that's also a way to nurture politicians. I think these benefits will explain why we need to have this legislation and why we need to have this reform. So both in terms of the system and in reality, district councils are not a necessary link between good governance and a community, because over the past year or so, some 2/3 of the members of the district council left their office, and yet in terms of livelihood issues, the administration has been able to do a good job. And therefore, by the end of this year, when the current term of the district council expires, we can still continue with the current situation, and yet the administration is introducing this new reform in order to have a new term of a district council after 2023. That shows how this government is trying to improve governance. And there are 4 benefits, as I just mentioned: acting as a bridge, and also effective governance, and also becoming district partners, and also a cradle for nurturing political talents. Because I was serving in Yat Tong Estate in Tung Chung, and in between the 2 constituencies, the 2 of us were serving 40,000 people, and I'm accumulated experience in district planning, and I try to observe and find out whether or not there were loopholes in the policies and so on. Such experience was something that would benefit our political career throughout our life, and yet there were some problems, and I could say that they are major problems, because we would attach importance to the interests of a very small community rather than the overriding or the overarching community. For example, whether or not the bus will pass through my constituency and so on. And some would just be concerned about the amenities, and therefore they would oppose to building schools because that would obstruct their sightline, and that's in Kwun Tong. That's the case in Kwun Tong, and therefore they would attach more importance to their own constituency, and they would just see the trees rather than the forests. And they would also be inciting suspicion and doubts, and they were also trying to curry favor with a small community. For example, in the past, we had this small constituency mode, and so long as you are able to get some 3,000 votes, then you'd be able to win a seat, and therefore the system would distort the system, and individuals would just think that all they need to do is to take care of the 3,000 voters in their constituency. They would just ignore the interests of the bigger community, and therefore we are now adopting a district-based approach, and the chairman of the district council would have the power to coordinate and commission tasks on district councillors, so that they would be able to deal with issues of community interest instead of just being biased towards a particular small community. And the district officers will become district council chairman as well. And I think wearing 2 hats would be very good indeed, because on the one hand, we have to look at the basic law, because district councils will have to be back on the right track, so that they would be in line with the design of the basic law. In other words, they are not organs of political power, they are just consultative bodies. But then under the new governance, we are moving from chaos to good governance, and we will have to listen to people's wishes, and we will also have to be efficient, and that would promote good governance. And therefore district officers will become district council chairman. On the one hand, they will listen to the residents' sentiments, and on the other, they are also responsible for good governance because they have they are also controlling the care teams in their districts. So they'd be able to work very efficiently to take care of residents' needs. And on the other hand, they would also be able to mobilize community forces in order to help solve community-related issues that would help build confidence in the districts. Well, by 2024, with the new term of district councils, and also we are going to have the district governance bodies. And if they had been there back in 2022, then I believe that for the thousands of households that were very helpless under the fifth wave of the pandemic, that would never have happened. Why do I say so? Because even for those patriotic district councillors who were trying to help the residents, for example, they were trying to provide medication and food and so on. Well, government departments would treat district councillors as aliens, and therefore they would refuse to provide information or particulars about the confirmed cases, and they would also refuse to allow them to deliver the necessities to the households. For example, if you were to send out some 400 packs of anti-pandemic materials to the infected households, would you be able to do that? They said that yes, because I know them, and we have adopted this grid system in delivering the necessities to these households. But then, as the administration did not treat them as district partners, and therefore they refused to do so, and therefore the administration would have to commission this to outsource companies, and it's both expensive and slow, and therefore in some cases it took them 7 days before the deliverables were sent to the households in need. And therefore, with the revamp package, and then in 2024, once we have the new term of district councils together with the care teams, together with the high-level district governance system led by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration, I'm sure we will be able to have good governance. And that's also in line with the important talk by President Xi on the 1st of July of the 4 principles we will have to improve our governance. With these remarks, I support the bill. Next, Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. President, I speak in support of the District Council Amendment Bill 2023, second reading. President Xi, in attending the reunification ceremony on the 1st of July last year, well, he made 4 expectations on our new term of government. Well, we will have to enhance our governance. We will also have to help resolve livelihood problems, and we will also have to promote harmony and stability. And President Xi also said that he would be pointing the direction for good governance, and he pointed out the pain points that we would have to work on. And he would also tell us what our solid foundations are. And after announcing the proposal on improving governance at the district level, number 1, we have to revamp the district council system, and number 2, we would also have to enhance the district governance mechanism. And with the amendment bill, through legislation, we'd like to revamp the district councils. Well, to improve district governance, there are 3 guiding principles. Number 1, we would have to accord top priority to national security. And number 2, we will have to fully implement the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong. And number 3, we will have to fully practice executive-led governance under Article 97 of the Basic Law. District organizations which are not organs of political power may be established. And number 2, we would also have to have patriots running Hong Kong. We would also have to have a fully executive government. And therefore, under the 3 guiding principles, we have to have a new term of district council. That's to plug the loopholes in the past in order to enhance the district governance structure and improve efficiency. And the 6 principal pieces of legislation and also the subsidiary legislation would cover 6 main areas. We will have to amend the functions of the district council. Second, the composition of the district council. And number 3, we would have to revive the appointment system, and we would also have to change the election method for district councillors, and we would also have to set up the eligibility review committee and also the performance monitoring mechanism in order to plug the loopholes and improve the system. Mr. President, in the 2019 anti-legislation storm, well, through the election of district council, many of the infiltrators joined the district council, and after joining the district council, they did not try to serve the community. They were abusing the powers and functions of district councillors, and they made use of the district council to undermine the administration's governance, and they also tried to incite the public. And the Berners also took over the district councils, and they also stood in the way of funding for district minor works, and that seriously undermined the work of the district councils. And the Berners also abused the funding of the district council, and there was also a lot of black box operations, and they also approved funding for their own groups, and even for the Dragon Boat Festival in Taipo with many years of history, the funding was rejected. And also, they were also abusing their powers as district councillors, and they used their ward offices to put up posters saying that they would not serve those in the blue camp, and they were actually blatantly violating their responsibilities as district councillors. And in the face of that, the central authorities took drastic action to stop that. And in 2020, the national security legislation was passed, and the SL government also further implemented the requirement for oaths taking for public officers, and district councillors were also required to take oaths to uphold the basic law and be patriotic to our country. And yet there was a wave of resignation by district councillors. So were they really patriotic? Were they really there to serve the community? That's doubtful. And also with the NSL passed, they used various excuses to resign, and they were also, some of them were also disqualified for making invalid oaths, and as a result, some 300 posts became vacant. And initially, we should have 400 plus, and now we only have 146 remaining. And the district councils were paralyzed, and Article 97 of the Basic Law said that we could set up district organizations which are not organs of political power to be consulted on district issues. They can also provide services in culture, recreation, and environmental sanitation. So the initial purpose of setting up district councils is for them to become passive consultative bodies, and yet the initial system allowed them to become district governance bodies, and as a result, they went farther and farther away from the original purpose. And such strategies would make sure that they would respond better to local needs, and yet those with ulterior motives made use of them to incite the public, and they claimed to be standing on the side of the public, and they were monitoring the performance of the government, and yet they were actually trying to incite further confrontation, and they were going to the street, and they also appealed to the populace thoughts, and in 2019 everything went out of control. So politicizing the district council was a matter of the political system, and from what we saw in 2019, we could see that the problem didn't just come from the candidates. We were not able to control the threshold as to how or who could qualify to become district councillors, and the monitoring mechanism was also inadequate, and therefore the new proposal would revamp the system so that they would know their purpose and also their function, and the constitution would also be revamped, and how the seats would be returned would also be reformed, so that we would once again have appointed members, and they would also be returned from district committees, and there would also be ex officio members and so on. A total of 470 members would be returned by those means. But then some would question that once we return the function of the district council to becoming consultative bodies, that would also undermine the function of district councillors as members who can reflect sentiments of the public. In fact, there is no direct correlation between this. The most important thing is for the district councillors to become bridges between the government and the public, and they would also help the government in explaining policies, and they would also provide feedback from the public to the administration. Under the 442, well, the number of directly elected seats would be reduced, and that would also help reduce the situation whereby they would only be playing to the gallery, and more committed members can also join the district council. That would also improve the representativeness of district councils, and also district councils would also have to think about the macro situation instead of just thinking about the interests of the small communities, and they would ignore the overriding interests of Hong Kong as a whole. And there would also be this review mechanism and also a steering committee would also be set up the DCERC would also be set up to look at their eligibility. That is to ensure that only patriots would be allowed to administer Hong Kong. This is the first threshold or gatekeeping. And the bill would also introduce the performance monitoring mechanism so that the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs would also set up guidelines, and certain misconduct can also be sanctioned. Under the new system, if any member is accused of any misconduct, then together with 3 district councillors joining, the district council chairman would be able to take action, and a motion is moved at this DC meeting, and if the case is passed by a majority of the members present, then they can also refer the case to the supervisory committee for an investigation. So this is the second gatekeeping, to ensure that those who are undertaking a soft opposition with the claim that they were in support of our governance would also be prevented from joining the district council, and the DC chairman would be the district officers of the district, and the district council chairman would also be making standing orders, and they would also ask the district councillors to collect views on commissioned subjects or matters, so as that would also ensure that they would better echo the work of the government, and DC chairman would also be taking the lead in district governance, and that would help reach the last mile in good district governance. These are my remarks. I support the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023. Second reading.
Ms. Sophie Chen. Thank you. On the 2nd of May, the administration announced the proposals on improving governance at the District Council. Alliance was formed by the 5th of May to assist the public to fully understand the proposals and to consult the public. So we set up over 1,000 booths in the community, mobilizing over 1,000 volunteers, and we collected 1.68 million signatures within a short period of few days. Now, I'm a key opinion leader and a member of the council. Together with my water office in Kwai Ting and Tsuen Wan, we organized volunteers to understand the public's view on the proposals, and we also explain the proposals online and to collect views. So I have personal experience in gauging public opinion and also the support from the community for the proposals. In 2019, the mutually assured destruction members hijacked our DC elections. Many people who had no experience in serving the public became DC members just by chanting empty slogans. They over-politicized DC affairs. They refused to serve people of different political opinions, and they approved funding for organizations associated or friendly to them without any declaration. In July 2020, some mutually assured destruction members used DC water officers at the appeal of Benny Tai and used their officers for polling stations or preliminaries. And then the law was amended to require DC members to take oath and to pledge allegiance for the Basic Law and also the Hong Kong SAR government. Some refused to take oath or some were disqualified for making invalid oaths. 70% of the seats were vacant as a result. These mutually assured destruction members made open promises at their campaign, and then they were not willing to uphold their oath. Many of them lacked community experience. They were supposed to provide first-line service as DC members, but because they have vacated their seats or some of them refused service to some members of the public, as a result, we have to resort to community officers and also community organizations and some members of this council to serve the community during the pandemic. So district councils are a major weakness of our district governance structure. Now, we have taken experience from the COVID-19 and then of the chaos of the DCs. We want to support the government, and that's why we support the proposals to improve district governance. Members of the public have support for the proposals as well, and I think we should publicize those proposals and support on different platforms. I attended an FCC a debate or forum held by the Foreign Correspondents Club. Those who opposed the proposals considered district councils as political organs, and I think that improving the DC as a way to improve district governance. In fact, we still have district committees and also care teams. In 1982, the district boards were set up by the then British colonial government, and those anti-China forces hijacked district councils and added to them powers that they were not entitled to. I have to stress that in 2015, well, apart from ex officio seats, we had a fully elected DC. I was also a DC member. However, in 2019, the fully elected DCs were hijacked by the MAD members. Now, the then British government had an appointment system as well with their own motives. So foreign forces should not criticize our appointment system.
The chairperson of our union, the FTU, Mr. Stanley Ng, has written an article about it, and I have done one as well in English, and I asked these foreign forces to read it to learn about the justifications of our change. And I'm glad that youngsters will have a chance to participate. And in order to diversify the composition of district councils in the committee meeting, I suggested that there should be a percentage of seats reserved for youngsters who aspire to participate in the political circle, because this will provide them with an opportunity to get involved, and this is also a chance for us to train future political talents. The secretary was quite warm towards my suggestion. This also means that there will be more opportunities for our frontline workers. For district councils, they work very closely with the community. The appointment system will allow frontline professionals to participate in the council as well. And I've always used Kwai Ting, my constituency, as an example. In Kwai Ting, there is 279 hectares site, which is the container terminal. Kwai Ting district, after the restructuring of the district governance proposal, will allow frontline workers in the container terminal business to participate in district affairs. Well, now after we've had the improved electoral system to improve the election method of legislators and chief executive, now we have another improvement for district councils. We've just had the 25th anniversary of reunification. All patriots has an important duty. We need to improve district governance in order to resolve livelihood issues. I will vote for the government's proposal, and I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Chow Meng Kwong. With the implementation